They've already got Tiger Mountain, but apparently that's just not good enough. So the Seattleites of Evergreen Mountain Bike Alliance have set their sights on Rattlesnake Mountain and Raging River, and in partnership with the Washington Department of Natural Resources, built themselves yet another awesome trail system. If you're a biker from Seattle, then you already know about the Exit 27 trails, a network of unofficial, mostly free ride trails that are accessed from, unsurprisingly, Exit 27 on Interstate 90. That means there's a trail system this superlative, this excellent, a mere 27 miles from the middle of Seattle. If you live in the Puget Sound area, you're so lucky. Now pay attention, Portland, because this is how it's done. The backbone of the Raging River system, as I'm going to call it, is the Ridge Trail. Typically, the Exit 27 free ride trails, which are right now they're unofficial and unsanctioned, are accessed via this steep gravel road, but a world-class trail system needs a good backbone, and that is what is in the process of being built here with the Ridge Trail. Not officially complete as of the creation of this video, the Ridge Trail will start here where this culvert is currently laid across it. There is a very short, punchy hike-a-bike at the beginning of this. Now, you're going to think, oh my gosh, this is going to be horrible because you're going to hit that like really short hike-a-bike, but that's it. That's all. That's the only hike-a-bike. That's the only really steep section. And then the rest is a well-executed climbing trail for the next 9 miles till you get to the very top of Rattlesnake Mountain. You get here by taking Exit 27 on I-90 East, turn right on Winery Road, and a few hundred feet up the road, there's this sort of wide, kind of unofficial parking area where everyone just kind of parks. This is where the Exit 27 trails dump you off. There's also a stagnant pool of water over here, like behind it, and the place pretty much always smells like rotting something for some reason. You could also drive a few hundred feet down the road, down Winery Road, and park at Snoqualmie Point Park. I mean, there's that option too. There aren't really that many parking spots there though, so you might as well just park here. After parking, ride up the paved road a little bit until you get to this side road with a gate across it. Ride up this side road until you see the entrance for the hiking trail. Don't ride up the hiking trail. The entrance to the mountain biking trail is just a little further up the road right here. Like I said, currently blocked by this culvert, but when it's open, there'll be a gate. You'll see that it starts with this, again, that really steep hike-a-bike. So I rode Tiger Mountain. I really liked Masterlink. It's the bestest climbing trail ever, but you know how many morality tales end with their protagonists getting too much of the thing they wanted? Well, I kind of feel like that's sort of what's going on with the Ridge Trail here. It's like I can picture Lucifer himself offering this up after you've sold him your soul while laughing maniacally. Seriously, you like climbing trail? Well, here's a lot of climbing trail. Like I said, it's well executed, but geez, this just keeps going and going and going. I mean, it's not so much the physical exertion as much as you get bored with climbing. You just keep climbing so much, it becomes sort of a special little hell. Like, make sure you bring a friend to keep your sanity. It's really, really obvious at every road crossing where the trail continues, so I'm not going to go over every road crossing. One of the best features of this trail is that it's really hard to get confused. Even without the signs in place yet, it's pretty darn obvious where you should be going. I also appreciated that the hiking trail is very well marked. It's nearly impossible to accidentally find yourself riding the hiking trail. You'd have to go way out of your way to be on the wrong trail. So kudos to the Department of Natural Resources for great signage. After 4.5 miles of climb, you'll enter a short half-mile section of slight downhill. Now consider that a respite because you've got another 700 feet of climbing before you get to the next downhill. Before you get to that next section of downhill, you'll come to this intersection at approximately 6 1/4 miles. Turn left at this intersection. You do not want to go right. That's just going to end in tears of rage. You'll see why in a minute. Now, shortly, you'll end up at this clear cut. The views are stunning, and you'll think, oh, this is where the downhill starts. Well, if you're planning on turning around, then this is where the downhill starts. Actually, if you just want an evening after work 2,500 foot elevation grind so you can turn around and ride the climbing trail back as a flow trail, then right here at the clear cut is a perfect turning around point. 13-mile ride after work? Nothing to sniff at. If, however, you want to do the entire 20-mile lollipop, then you're not done yet. From the top of the clear cut, you get about a mile of downhill, losing 250 feet of elevation before you start climbing again, gaining 400 feet over a mile until you arrive here, where there's this bike wheel dangling from a tree and a dirt bench cut into the hillside. Have lunch here and contemplate the fact that you just climbed nearly 3,000 feet over 9 miles to get here. I know. It's insane. Now, the spot where you are currently enjoying your lunch and assessing your dwindling water supply is the top of No Service, the main downhill line on this system, and one of the brainchildren of Evergreen builder Dale Shahan, who worked with a large team of Evergreen builders to put 3 downhill trails into this section. All 3 of the downhill lines radiate from No Service, which is Black Diamond downhill line of roots, off camber, and it's raw, steep, and gnarly. It's that way on purpose. It was built to be raw, steep, and gnarly. As more downhill lines get built, this will continue to be the template for how they are constructed. Raw means raw on this trail. In places, the only treatment the tread has gotten is bike tires rolling across it. Think of this trail as something, it basically kind of follows sort of the idea of the other Exit 27 downhill trails. The only thing it doesn't have is like big gaps you could park a semi between. But other than that, it kind of has that Exit 27 feel. It's just way out here. So it's, it's biker heaven. After this first road crossing, there is a split to the right. That is the People's Elbow. It contains this 100-foot mandatory rock roll feature, which left me feeling very vulnerable and alone way out here in the woods 9 miles from the trailhead, so I decided it made more sense to just get some video and turn around. If you're going to ride this trail, bring a friend. The People's Elbow joins back up with No Service right here. If you wanted some real DH free ride action, this is where it is, and it's classic Pacific Northwest. It's deep, it's dark, it's loose. Eventually, No Service turns into a float trail, and somewhere in here, although I missed it because I was having too much fun with the float trail, there is a split that leads to Invictus, and that's the other optional hand-built line over here. Apparently it's somewhere near the 3rd road crossing. I'm not sure. The flow trail section of No Service is no beginner's flow trail line. It's a combination of super steep and super tight. I think a better description might be sculpted mayhem. Just because features are machine built and lovingly shaped doesn't mean they're easy. Just like on Tiger Mountain, the trails here are reluctant to simply allow you to point it and pin it. Lazy downhillers will be eminently frustrated on this trail. Not that there are any lazy downhillers this far out, because there is no easy way to the top of these. It's 9 miles of climbing or nothing. That means these trails are very likely to stay rustic and somewhat unspoiled. Hopefully the sheer difficulty of getting out here will help minimize the amount of brake bumps that form before big features. It'll be fascinating to see how these trails develop. When you get to the bottom of either Invictus or No Service, you'll find yourself on this road. Turn right and cross this bridge. Keep riding on the road until you get just past this borrow pit, and you'll see the beginning of the climbing trail on your right. You climb about 1,000 feet over the next 2.3 miles, and after all the other climbing you've already done, it'll be a challenge not to swear about it under your breath. This is yet another reason it's a really good idea to bring a friend with you on this ride. It's nice to have someone to suffer with. If it makes you feel any better, the DH line you just rode dropped 1,200 feet in elevation, and you only have to gain back 1,000 feet of that. So really, if you're not too much of a stickler about mathematics, it all works out in your favor. Alright, so you're eventually going to end up here again at this intersection where you turned left. Hopefully you remember how you got up here by now. I mean, I know you've done a lot of climbing, but you should theoretically still have most of your wits about you, so go back the way you came. This part of the ridge trail is actually a half-decent flow trail on the way down. Just be aware that there are a lot of people climbing up this trail. So why are the only dedicated downhill lines way at the other end of the trail system, and how come the climbing trail is the only way down, you might ask? Well, I'm glad you asked. This is only phase 1. Phase 2 starts this winter, and there is a lot of goodness coming. Remember that the Ridge Trail is the backbone of so much more to come. At some point, this system will incorporate the classical Exit 27 trails through some connectors. You can make Phase 2 a reality sooner than later by showing up to work parties. This system is enormous, and as such it requires a lot of labor, so come do your part. No dig, no ride. So, by the time you get to the bottom of this trail, you've done 20 miles of riding with 4,000 feet of climbing if you did the entire lollipop. This isn't an easy ride. It's an intense backcountry ride that just happens to be in your backyard if you live in Seattle. If you don't live in Seattle, it's an intense backcountry ride that's worth the drive. This place is pretty popular. Seriously, just look at this parking lot. This is what it looked like at 6:45 p.m. on a typical Wednesday night. Hopefully at some point there'll be more parking built for this area. It's gonna need it. I mean, this parking area is awfully unofficial and it kind of smells. I mean, seriously, something's rotting around here. I don't know what it is. Or maybe it's all the stagnant water. I mean, ugh. So this is great. This is a good trail. Lots of climbing. Unbelievable that Seattle residents get so much awesome riding so close to their doorsteps. Seriously, are you listening, Portland? Compared to this, your performance is unacceptable. But this This is a great thing, and these awesome trails are yet another reason for you to get out there and go ride your bike. Hey folks, thanks for watching. I hope these videos are helpful to you. Now please remember, like, subscribe, and share, and I will see you next time. Now once again, get out there and go ride your bike.